Cool. Hare Krishna. All right, so now we're recording. So welcome, devotees. Hare Krishna. We're continuing our reading of Srimad Bhagavatamrta, and we're in the last section, and we're reading a very wonderful purport by Srila Sanatana Goswami, who's on the glories of devotees. So it's text 14, and we spent the whole of last week reading that, and we haven't finished reading it. So we're going to pick up on that reading. But the glories of devotees. You could do a whole seminar on this purport. And they could no, they're not called purports here. What does he call them? He calls commentary. So Srila Sanatana Goswami is given a commentary on his own Brihad Bhagavatamrta. All right. All right, so you can see it?
Yes.
Okay, great. Fantastic again. Hare Krishna. All right, who'd like to kick off the reading? It's down here where it's highlighted in blue. Before we begin, Nam Om Vṛndāvana Kṛṣṇa Vastai Bhutale Shivati Bhakti Vedanta Swamti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachaline Nivasi Shunyavari Pashtatara Satari Ne Jai Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Okay, we have an enthusiastic reader out there.
Shall I read? Is Bhagavatamrta not there today?
I can't see her.
Okay, so I can start if nobody else is.
Yeah, the first and second steps.
Okay. The first and second steps of Patanjali Rishi's Ashtanga Yoga method are the 12 niyamas, minor regulations, and 12 yamas, major regulations. Shri Kṛṣṇa lists these for Uddhav. Prabhu, do I have to read that or I can skip that? The next.
Yeah, to save a bit of time here in this reading here, we're not reading the Sanskrit, so.
Okay. Shri Kṛṣṇa lists these for Uddhav. Non-violence, truthfulness, unwillingness to covet or steal the property of others, detachment, humility, freedom from possessiveness, trust in the principles of religion, celibacy, silence, steadiness, forgiveness, and fearlessness are the 12 primary disciplinary principles. Internal cleanliness, external cleanliness, chanting the holy names of the Lord, austerity, sacrifice, faith, hospitality, worship of me, visiting holy places, acting for and desiring only the supreme interest, satisfaction and service to the spiritual master are the 12 elements of regular prescribed duties. These 24 elements bestow all desired benedictions upon those persons who devotedly cultivate them. Bhagavatam 11:19:33-35. The company of exalted Vṛndāvanas counteracts not only material attachment, but also attachment to the Supreme Lord's pastime in Vaikuntha and abodes other than Golaka. What to speak of the power of direct contact with Vaishnavas? Even hearing descriptions of their greatness leads to the highest success, as Sri Vidura states in the 3rd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Persons who hear from a spiritual master with great labor and for a long time must hear from the mouth about the character and activities of pure devotees, who always think within their hearts of the lotus feet of Mukunda, the personality of Godhead, he who awards them liberation. In the 4th canto, 4, 9, 10, Dhruva Maharaj makes a similar statement. My Lord, the transcendental bliss derived from meditating upon your lotus feet or hearing about the glories of your pure devotees is so unlimited that it is far beyond the stage of Brahmananda, whereas one thinks himself merged in the impersonal Brahman as one with the Supreme. Since Brahmananda is also defeated by the transcendental bliss derived from devotional service, then what to speak of the temporary bliss of elevating oneself to the heavenly planets, which is ended by the separating sword of time. Although one may be elevated to the heavenly planets, he falls down in due course of time.
I just pause there. I just want to go back and get the context of why this verse, this one here, was quoted from the Bhagavatam. Let's just go back 1 second. My dear Uddhava, by associating with my pure devotees, one can destroy one's attachment, etc., for all objects of material sense gratification. All right, so one may perform Ashtanga yoga. Okay. So this is an aspect of Ashtanga yoga. It's the beginning stages, and it was mentioned in today's Srimad Bhagavatam class, actually. Hare Krishna, Chandravali.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, no problem. Welcome, Hare Krishna. Yeah, so just getting context of where we're picked up from. Yeah, so it's quite detailed. So, in other words, to make tangible progress in Ashtanga yoga, then one's sadhana, this is one's sadhana of yama and niyama, which is all these items here. Yeah, and incidentally, it happens to mention chanting of the holy name, but that's just incidental. It's obviously they call it japa, and it's not their principal anga of those who are practicing Ashtanga. It just happens to be one of the activities of bhakti that they include in their otherwise mechanical practice to do some japa. All right. But for us, it's the primary and principal practice. And all these other items, very worthy characteristic traits, non-violence, truthfulness, unwillingness to covert or steal the property of others, that's Ishopanishad, isn't it? Detachment, etc., and humility. These, because of the purity of devotional service to Krishna, one may not be possessed of these qualities, but they can still take up bhakti. And these qualities will manifest as a practice of pure devotional service. Yashasti bhakti bhagavati akinchina. There's one verse in the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So that devotional service will only come and be blessed, or one will be blessed to take up devotion to Krishna only by the grace of a Vaiṣṇava. That's the context of it. That's why Sanatana Goswami is bringing it up here. Actually, the company of exalted Vaiṣṇavas. Yeah. And he goes on to say, this was a small detail as well, that not only are we free from material attachment, but we can be free from attachment to Vaikuntha. We're supposed to be attached to going to Vaikuntha from a one perspective, but Sanatana Goswami is as the 6 Goswamis and following their footsteps, our eyes are set on Goloka and not on Vaikuntha. So he mentions exalted Vaiṣṇavas. They have their hearts set on Goloka. I just thought I'd get some context there. All right, and then we left off here. Set, any questions or comments, please feel free to ask or comment. All right, so yeah, for sure. I mean, most people, well, not because some people coming from very pious backgrounds, and they may already be invested with these qualities just by culture of their upbringing. Other than that, just by coming to bhakti, then all these qualities will manifest. Okay. All right, you can pick it up again, Robert, and not only
is complete success in life guaranteed by any contact with the Supreme Lord's devotees, but even the company of his devotees is enough to assure perfection. Thus Dhruv Maharaj says, O Lord, who have a lotus navel, if a person happens to associate with someone whose heart hankers after the lotus feet of your devotees, whose heart always seeks the fragrance of those lotus feet. He is never attached to the material body or in a bodily relationship to offspring, friends, home, wealth, and wife, which are very, very dear to materialistic persons. Indeed, he does not care for them. Unlike anybody else, including the impersonalist yogi, the advanced devotees who have pure love for the Supreme Lord's lotus feet are completely free from the falsity of identifying themselves with the body. In the words of Lord Vishnu's Hamsa incarnation, Bhagavatam, just as a drunken man doesn't notice whether or not he is wearing his coat or shirt, one who is perfect in self-realization and has thus achieved his eternal identity doesn't notice whether the temporary body is sitting or standing. Indeed, if by God's will the body is finished, or by God's will he obtains a new body, a self-realized soul doesn't notice, just as a drunken man doesn't notice the situation of his outward dress. Lord Rishabdev describes the characteristics of great devotees. The Mahatmas are equipoised. They see no difference between one living entity and another. They're very peaceful, fully engaged in devotional service and devoid of anger, and they work for the benefit of all. They do not behave in any abnormal way. Those who are interested in reviving Krishna consciousness and increasing their love of Godhead do not like to do anything that is not related to Krishna. They're not interested in mingling with people who are busy maintaining their bodies, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. They are not attached to their homes, although they may be householders, nor are they attached to wives, children, friends, or wealth. At the same time, they are not indifferent to the execution of their duties. Such people are interested in collecting only enough money to keep the body and soul together.
Sorry, could you just pause there 1 second? I just want to bring this out again, going back. Where is it? Yeah, this point here. 1 second, moving a few things here. I often have to, because often I'm giving a class, like lunch class or morning class or Sunday feast, and there's not just brahmacharis sitting in the audience. Okay, there's devotees who've got children, homes like yourselves, etc. So this may be so sometimes this may be misunderstood. It says he is never attached to the material body or to bodily relationship, to offspring, friends, home, wealth, wife, etc. He does not care for them. All right, so some of you have probably got grandchildren out there. Some of you have got children. Some of you are married. Some of you have, well, some of you, I guess you all have houses, unless you're living in a tent somewhere. I think we're houses. So we shouldn't get this wrong, but it is qualified. Also in the 15th chapter, is that the chapter where Kṛṣṇa speaks about 13th chapter, where Kṛṣṇa speaks about the items of knowledge. And one of them is to be detached from family, home, etc. But Prabhupada in the purport says it doesn't mean one should not have any affection for these. It is only natural. And he says it elsewhere as well. But then it's further qualified here. So what does it mean then? I mean, how is this applied? So this verse here, down here, I just highlight it here. Yeah, this is from Bhagavatam, 5th canto. This gives us a bit more of understanding. They are not attached to their homes, although they may be householders. So obviously, if we've got a certain level of attachment in the sense that you're going to pay your mortgage, you're going to pay your bills. Otherwise, you may not have an house. But that's not without. not outside of the realms of pure devotion. Anya bilasita means that we have to maintain the body. So we have to eat. We have to have a place to be, to practice bhakti. So that's allowed in pure devotional service. Okay. It says here, nor are they attached to wives. I guess they should put husbands here as well. Okay. Not attached to wives, children, friends, etc., materialistic friends or wealth. Now, at this point, at the same time, they are not indifferent to the execution of their duties. Okay. So we have particular duties to family members, and especially if you're parents, one of those duties is love and affection. Okay. Such people are, but we understand, like detachment in this context means that we understand quite clearly that we're together for some time. Yeah, but due to the wheels of time, at some point we're going to have to go our own ways, and we accept the inevitable fact of the Lord's divine arrangement that brings us together, and then we're separated. So that gives a sense of detachment, as though one is living within a family situation. Okay. Any questions on that? Hope that's a bit more clearer.
Prabhu, I have a small
Yeah.
question. It might be really silly, but I can't get my head around this one.
Go on,
You know,
yeah.
when you're saying that we are detached, I mean, detached from, say, household, house, I mean, the place you live in.
Yeah.
I mean, is there not degrees of attachment? Because really, at the end of the day, whether you are a devotee or you're doing a devotional service, I mean, there's a time when you long to just come back to your own place that you live in. So would you not say that is kind of attachment to some degree?
Yeah, but we understand that this is a facility that's been given to us by Kṛṣṇa. So we want to maintain it, and we're using it so we can comfortably practice our Kṛṣṇa consciousness, But ultimately, over and above everything, our main attachment goes towards Kṛṣṇa.
Yes.
Yeah, that's where our main attachment wants to eventually or hopefully rest in, Kṛṣṇa.
Yes.
But we need, like Prabhupada established temples, and temples are buildings, and in the buildings there's and there's facilities. So we're not ready to live in the Himalayas or to live at the banks of the Jamuna or Radhakund. But what we do have as possessions, house, etc., then we're good to follow the example of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He saw it all as actually, he saw that he was taking care of the Lord's house. So we can see it like that. This is actually Kṛṣṇa is giving me this facility. I can practice my bhakti.
Yeah.
So in that sense, there is a sense of, you could say, if you want, it's a sense of attachment, but it shouldn't get in the way. It shouldn't be like a materialist. Like their house is everything. I mean, it's absolutely everything. It's absolutely everything. For us, we may be in a situation where we may lose the house, God forbid. But we've still got devotional service.
Yes.
And we've still got our faith in Kṛṣṇa. Just like, I think I've mentioned this before, I saw this news video of a hurricane that happened in America. And they build bunkers under the ground, when the hurricanes come. So this person happened to film this person coming out of his bunker, which was under the house. And there was and there was no house left. Completely flattened. Everything was destroyed. It was just, everything, nothing. So he came out the hatch. He looked left, he looked right. There was no house. And he came out and he put his hand in the air and he said, God gives and God takes away.
Yes.
I mean, the way where you see films of other people, seeing these wildfires and hurricanes and people who perhaps, are more materialistic. For them, when their house gets taken away, it's the end of their life, and it's such a traumatic experience. They practically have a nervous breakdown. They just cannot handle it.
Yeah.
Because their whole life is invested in their griha. So we have houses and we maintain houses, but at the end of the day, when the push comes to the shove, it may be that, well, one day we are going to lose our house. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's right.
Because we're going to die. You can't take
Yes.
your house with you. So we should have that level of understanding.
Yes.
I can't take my house with me when I die. I've got to leave it behind. So, but we still, Yukta Vairagya, we use the things in this world in Krishna's service.
Yes.
Okay, but good.
Yes. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions on this? Otherwise, we continue. The Mahatmas, it's here, isn't it? Because Mahatma, we're reading from here.
Yes.
Okay,
I think.
carry on.
Yeah.
Yeah, no
Because
harm.
Mahatmas are free from the material agitations of love and hate. They maintain an equal disposition towards friends, enemies, and neutral parties. In other words, the great souls are peaceful. This peacefulness is due to their being free from anger. This freedom is due to their being causeless benefactors of everyone. And this benediction is due to their being firmly committed to saintly behavior. Their aim in life is to become trustworthy friends of the personality of Godhead. Concentrating exclusively on that goal, they take no pleasure in being with persons who, instead of pursuing the highest interests of spiritual life, are interested only in maintaining their bodies. The Mahatmas rather expend as little energy as possible, working to sustain their material bodies.
All right. So the Mahatmas rather expand as little energy as possible, working to maintain the material bodies. Okay, so we don't become bodybuilders. We just do what we have to do. I mean, I do a bit of exercise, a bit of stretching and yoga, but it's just to maintain my material body. But other persons are really possessed with their bodies. Something always it amazes me. These persons, these persons who lift weights and they build their bodies, and they must stand all day looking in the mirror, isn't it? They're completely obsessed with their body. They spend hours and hours every day trying to make their body look big. It's such a, what can you say? They're definitely, um, yeah, they're definitely persons we don't want to mix with too much. They're completely absorbed in the body, Hare Krishna. If anybody else like to read, please, you can. Any other readers out there like to take over? Otherwise, I can have a read next, and if someone likes to carry on after me, okay. Lord Krishna gives his own appraisal of the Mahatma Vaiṣṇavas to Uddhava in 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Niskinchana mai anurakta chetasaha shanto mahanto kila jiva vatsalaha kame analabadiyo jushantite yan yanirapeksham na vito shukam mama. Okay, those who are without any desire for personal gratification, whose minds are always attached to me, who are peaceful, shanta, free from false ego, and merciful to all living entities, and whose consciousness is never affected by opportunities for sense gratification. Such persons enjoy in me a happiness that cannot be known or achieved by those lacking such detachment from the material world. So this is similar to verses in the 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. devotional service. Yeah. So in other words, those who are attached to the material world, they are not peaceful, they're full of false ego, they're not merciful, they're always agitated with thoughts of sense gratification. Yeah. But those who are devotees, then the opposite. Okay. Devotees whose hearts are fully dedicated to the Supreme Person are only real Mahatmas. There are certain external symptoms by which some great souls can be known. So here they are. They avoid acquisitiveness. Let me just check that. Anyone know what that means? Look up acquisitiveness. Excessive interest in acquiring money or material things. Okay, that's quite okay. They are beyond attraction and repulsion. They are affectionately concerned for all living beings. Yeah, so it means devotees feel for other people's suffering. Yeah. They are pure in heart, untouched by the spirit of selfish enjoyment. Their internal characteristic is the happiness they taste from relationship with the personality of Godhead. A happiness no one but the pure Vaiṣṇavas can know. Yeah. So to sanchichara manticha, devotees derive great happiness and bliss by reading Bhagavatamrta. Yeah, by conversing about me. The Lord's own happiness is also nothing like the Brahmananda or self-satisfied impersonalists. Because Kṛṣṇa is the servant of his own servants, he is always eager to share with his devotees the ecstatic taste of bhakti rasa. Okay, so Aham bhakta, oh yeah, I'm reading the Sanskrit, I wasn't doing it. Anyway, I'll read it. Aham bhakta paradidno hi avashtantra eva dvija shadobe krishta hridayo bhakte bhakta jana priyaha. I am completely under the control of my devotees. Indeed, I am not at all independent. Because my devotees are completely devoid of material desires, I sit only within the cause of their hearts. What to speak of my devotees? Even the devotees of my devotees are very dear to me. Okay. So 10 points guessing what pastime this verse comes in. 9th canto. I read it again. I am completely under control of my devotees. So the Lord's glorifying his devotees, obviously. Indeed, I am not at all independent. So he's controlled by his devotees. So someone's coming to the Lord and asking for something, but he's saying, actually, I'm controlled by my devotees. I have no independence.
Is it Amrish Maharaj's story?
Yeah, 10 points for Mother Vṛndāvana.
Yeah. Amrish Maharaj.
And Dhruva, Ambarish, and excuse me,
I know him, Durvasa.
Durvasa, that's it. Thank you. Yeah. So that whole pastime, and that's the 9th canto, and the Lord glorifies his devotees. So, in other words, if Devas Muni wants to be free from the Sudan chakra, then he better go to his devotees, because they actually control me. So he mentions that. Yeah. A devotee with strong faith engages sincerely in worshipping the Lord, and when by that worship he develops transcendental attraction, so a Shakti, he becomes a true Mahatma. Thus, faith that leads to attachment is the principal inner symptom of an advanced Vaiṣṇava. Okay, faith that leads to attachment. Sri Havis, one of the 9 Yogendras, has described this most essential characteristic of pure devotion. Okay, so Shraddha. Okay, I'll read the translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is so kind to conditioned souls that if they call upon him by speaking his holy name, even unintentionally or unwillingly, the Lord is inclined to destroy innumerable sinful reactions in their hearts. All right, what's an example of that we could use in the Bhagavatam? So he's speaking about namabas, even unintentionally or unwillingly. So someone did that and they became free from all sinful reactions.
No, the one who was born.
Ajamil, was it?
Ajamil, yes, correct. Ajamil, yeah. Yeah, and then there was that, and then the Yamadutas couldn't really understand this principle. Yeah. Because the Vishnu Dutas came and they said, "What are you doing?" And so he said, well, my voice is coming back somewhere. So he said, "What are you doing? This person is free of all sin." Anyway, no, the Vishnu Dutas said that, yeah. No, the Yamadutas came, were taking his body. Then the Vishnu Dutas came and stopped him, and then stopped them. Then they had a conversation. Yeah, so that's, yeah. Therefore, when a devotee who has taken shelter of the Lord's lotus feet chants the holy name of Kṛṣṇa with genuine love, the Lord cannot give up the heart of such a devotee. One who has thus bound the Supreme Lord within his heart with the ropes of love is known as Bhagavatamrta, the most exalted devotee of the Lord. So this is in 11th canto. The most elevated Vaiṣṇavas worship Lord Hari in his original form of Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇas tu bhagavān svayam. The holy names of Kṛṣṇa, being non-different from him, sākṣād dhariḥ, are so potent that even when uttered unintentionally, they destroy heaps of sins. Kṛṣṇa, in his inconceivable, wonderful Vṛndāvana pastimes, nullifies the threat of many demons, such as Aghāsura, by killing them and awarding them liberation. In Vṛndāvana, Kṛṣṇa's loving devotees have bound him within their hearts so that he can never escape. Okay, I'll ask, you don't mind asking questions, do you? Right, which devotee shows this and exemplifies it and mentions it?
Yashoda?
Yashoda, yeah, you could say that, but I'm thinking of someone else. We mentioned him yesterday, in yesterday's reading, about samadhi.
Markandeya.
No.
The gopis.
No, well, yes, but we haven't got there yet. Bilva Mangala Thakur. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Kṛṣṇa was coming and then he was going, and then then in his prayers he says, "You cannot escape me. I have you in my heart." Yeah. So he says this in his loving prayers to Kṛṣṇa, This statement above describes these most intimate devotees by using the word Bhagavatamrta, a word grammatically singular in form because they are relatively few in number. Okay. So quote, during Kali Yuga, human beings with such saintly qualities are rarely found in this world. Certainly, we never see many lions together in one place. Or as the goddess of earth says in Hari Bhakti Sutatoya, Sadulabha Bhagavata Hiloke. Pure devotees are very rare in this world. In the words of Maharaj Nimi, Dulabo Manaso Deho Dehinam Kṛṣṇa Bhagaroha Tatrapi Dulabam Manye Vakunta Priya Darshanam. For the conditioned souls, the human body is most difficult to achieve and it can be lost at any moment. But I think even those who have achieved human life can rarely gain the association of pure devotees who are dear to the Lord of Vaikuntha. Right, ask another question on this subject. In the Bhagavatam, there's a pastime where one devotee is very, very surprised that this person who he's fighting is actually a devotee. Because then he mentions, because devotees are so rare, and this person who I'm trying to kill, he's actually devotee. Then this person then mentions devotees are so rare, but here is one.
Vritrasura.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, Indra and his battle with Vritrasura. It turns out that he was a great devotee, as though he was in the body of a demon. So Lord Indra, he's amazed at that, and he mentions the verse that devotees are so rare. How is it that this person is a devotee? And he was Chitraketu in his previous life. Okay. Yeah. So I guess because we live with devotees, so we associate with devotees, and we probably might only know devotees. So actually, we're so blessed, and we shouldn't take it for granted. To actually be in the Sangha of Vaiṣṇavas is definitely very, very special. And we should always be very grateful for that. Being very grateful for that, and offering prayers to the Lord. My Lord, who's to know what I was doing in previous lives, but now I've got the association with your devotees, somehow or another. Yeah. So it's a great benediction to be in association of the Lord's devotees, because they are rare. How many people in England and how many devotees are there? Very small amount. How many persons on the planet and how many devotees of Kṛṣṇa are there? A very small amount. So it's good to remember that. So sometimes when I'm in Mayapur, I'm surrounded by thousands of devotees. And I appreciate it so much. I think, wow, how is it I'm sitting here amongst all these devotees? So it's very rare. So we're very fortunate. And in one sense, that's the grace of Srila Prabhupada, that he created the international site for Krishna consciousness. So it's a society of devotees. It's amazing. Yeah, there's a society of pure Vaiṣṇavas. It's very wonderful. Mother Sahachari, would you like to take up reading from here?
Yeah, thank you.
Pure Vaiṣṇavas here.
Pure Vaishnavas are rarely found in the material world because devotion for Sri Krishna arises only in a person who has been relieved of all traces of sinful reactions and has properly carried out all pious duties.
Yeshan Dvantakatam Papam, this from Bhagavad Gita. Go on.
Person who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, and whose sinful actions are completely eradicated, are freed from the dualities of delusion, and they engage themselves in my service with determination. Bhagavad Gita 7:28. To attain devotional service unto Lord Krishna, one must perform charity, follow strict vows, perform austerities and fire sacrifices, chant japa, study Vedic texts, observe regulative principles, and follow many other auspicious practices. Bhagavatam 10:47-24. Human beings whose sins have been completely eradicated by thousands of lifetimes cultivating austerities, knowledge, and meditative trance can develop devotion for Krishna. Yoga Vasishtha Ramayana. From these statements, we can infer that a person with no devotion for the Supreme Lord must be sinful, nor can the knowledge gained by seekers of impersonal liberation be called bhakti, because even texts like the Yoga Visishta, which are tinged with impersonalism, indicates that tapas, Gnana and Samadhi are means towards the end of Bhagavad Bhakti. As Srila Sridhara Swami writes at the end of his commentary on the Bhagavad Gita, Janasya Bhaktya Avantara Vyapravatam Eva. Gnana is but a secondary activity subordinate to Bhakti. And in the Bhagavad Gita itself, 10.10, 1854 to 55, Krishna clearly describes knowledge, Buddhi Yoga, as but a means to achieve the ultimate goal, pure devotion to Him. To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. One who is transcendently situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed towards every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. One can understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by devotional service, and one is in full consciousness of me by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. Thus, Krishna always makes a distinction between Jnana and Bhakti, and so do his faithful devotees. This means, of course, that the impersonal worshippers of the Absolute are not as spiritually advanced as the devotees of the Supreme Person. In the fourth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam 4.22.69, Sanat Kumar tells Maharaj Prithu, the devotees who are always engaged in the service of the toes of the
Lotus feet of the Lord.
lotus feet of the Lord can very easily overcome hard-knotted desires from fruitive activities because this is very difficult. The non-devotees, the jnanis and the yogis, although trying to stop the waves of sense gratification, cannot do so. Therefore, you are advised to engage in the devotional service of Krishna, the son of Vasudeva. The unlimited ways of the Supreme Lord employs his energy are all his vilasas, expansions for play. But pure Vaishnavas are especially attracted to serving him by hearing
And
his
chanting.
and chanting about his vilasas in Sri Vṛndāvana and his other spiritual abodes. Thus, Lord Kapiladev, after instructing the mother at length about several varieties of progressive discipline, advised her that of all sadhanas, reaction of the pastimes of the Lord of
Recitation.
Vaikuntha,
Recitation.
sorry, advised her that of all sadhanas, recitation of the pastimes of the Lord of Vaikuntha is the most important. Devotional service itself is also vilasa, an expression of pure joy. By taking part in the Bhakti Vilasa of honoring the Supreme Lord, Mahaprasad, and dancing, singing, and performing other services for his pleasure, saintly devotees unite the knots of material bondage. The
Untie.
materialistic,
She's reading fast today. Untie.
Untie.
sorry,
Untie.
untie. Okay, because my print is a bit small, so I'm
Okay,
finding
no
it
problem.
difficult. Sorry. Untie the knots of material bondage. The materialistic attitudes born from false ego. Within their hearts, impersonalist sannyasis may subdue the senses, but they are unable to untie the knots of karma binding their hearts, or even if able to begin to unravel these knots, they cannot undo them completely. The impulses of the senses are compared to the current of a mighty river like the Ganga, which can never be stopped without the special protection of the Supreme Lord's internal energy and pure devotional service. No one can stop the incessant flow of sensory agitation. Non devotee sannyasis fall from their elevated status, therefore, whereas fully surrendered devotees never fall. While Krishna was in the womb of Devaki, the demigods prayed, O Madhava, Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord of the Goddess of Fortune, if devotees completely in love with you sometimes fall from the path of devotion, they do not fall like non-devotees. Bhagavatam 10.2.33. Though this statement concedes that pure devotees may in theory fall down, saintly authorities never accept the possibility. Paramahamsa Vaishnavas are solidly established in intimate friendship with the Supreme Lord. Therefore, they never fall into illusion under any circumstances. Impersonalists conceive of the...
Pause there 1 second. So,
Sure.
so how to explain it? Sometimes I'm sure we have seen in our spiritual lives, that devotees do fall down, or devotees come and practice, or people come and practice bhakti, and some even practice. We even see it. Some practice for many years, 10 years, 20 years, even more, and then suddenly they fall back into material life. So how can we explain that? It says here, although these statements concedes that pure devotees may in theory fall, but actually authorities say that it's not possible. So how could we address that or answer that? What is going on?
We practicing devotional service, but we also committing offenses in chanting, offenses to Vaishnavas. Well, that's going to multiply and cause, or not having the right association. Also, not because of not chanting properly, you'd be in different modes.
Yeah, it's correct. So I think you're bringing up a good point in answering the question, because in the scriptures we have the Chaitanya Charitamrita, I think, in teachings to either Rupa or Sanatan. Then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mentions about how to he mentions about the dangers when the bhakti ladder beej is growing, that there may be weeds that grow, and so that we should protect it. And also we hear about the philosophy of chanting the holy name. That's what Mother Chandravali is bringing out. If we don't chant, if we continually make offenses to the holy name, then we're going to lose the mercy of the holy name. And then again, we might become attracted to material life. So these things are there in our scriptures about the proper and the improper way of executing devotion. So then what does it mean here? That devotees never fall into illusion under any circumstances? Oh, actually, it's quite obvious. I just read the word here. Look, I'm just going to highlight this word here.
What's that? I can't see. Paramahamsas.
Yeah, Paramahamsa. So I think there's a certain, especially Kanishta, Madhyam, and Uttams. Yeah, definitely Paramahamsas. Yeah, they will 7% devotees never actually fall. Yeah, Prahlad Maharaj is not going to fall down. Nanda Maharaj is a 7% devotee of Kṛṣṇa. He's not going to leave Goloka and get a part-time job somewhere. Okay. Prabhupada, he's not. So it seems like basically what's been said here, this I would say, isn't it? That devotees may fall down, but perhaps they're not fully qualified as devotees yet. So even though they don't, still they're not ordinary people. Even if they may take a step back in their spiritual practice and become overwhelmed by the material energy, still Krishna's got their cards marked, so to speak. So they're not an ordinary materialistic person. Yeah. Anything else on that? I think, yeah.
What about like external material circumstances that may, deter you with bhakti, and you kind of like become a bit lazy, and then you slowly just drop out. Like even in the past where like Maharajas and things where they've kind of at such a high level, and then suddenly they commit so many offenses and they kind of fall away from Krishna consciousness. Is that to do with external factors as well, or like their consciousness is just becomes so impure that Krishna takes it away from them?
Well, it may be one of many things. Just like our path of advancing in devotional service is very personal to us, and the things we experience, etc., in relationship to devotees and devotion, it's a unique experience for everyone because we are individuals. So similarly, in the same way, devotees who may discontinue the practice of bhakti, it's very varied, and there's many reasons why it may be one of various reasons. It may be just simply coming to terms with the fact that Krishna is the only enjoyer, and they're unable to kind of surrender to that absolute aspect. That's about one example. But we also, I mean, the way you asked the question as well, it may be without sufficient association of Vaiṣṇavas, then it may be bit by bit, slowly but slowly, one is, slowly but slowly one is, slowly but slowly one is
becoming used to the material.
that's good, becoming quite familiar.
And
with
no
material
association.
consciousness and the no association. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So then, they may not be so attentive to all the details, but actually the details make up the whole picture at the end of the day. So there's many various reasons and factors, as many reasons, so it's difficult to ascertain exactly why. Some it might be quite obvious because of the offenses they've been making over many years, then eventually the weight of those offenses takes them away from the immediate association of devotees. But I think perhaps one of the common ones we can probably conclude is not to be in a close association with Vaiṣṇavas.
And not fully surrendered, maybe, like
That's another
not
reason.
having full faith in Krishna, and maybe just doing your Krishna consciousness to help you sort of overcome problems in your life, and thinking by doing the chanting and being surrendered to Krishna at a certain level, thinking that everything's okay, but suddenly when there's catastrophes or something that come into their life, they think, oh well, Krishna hasn't helped me, so I'm not gonna I'm not gonna now do too much, and then just go the other way slightly.
That's a good
I came
point.
across some people like that in India, so they were in Krishna consciousness, but I think as time kind of went, I don't think they were fully surrendered, and they couldn't cope with what was going on in their life, and just kind of went the other way, whereas saying this has happened for a reason, and Krishna's got my back, and I'm fully surrendered to Krishna no matter what happens to the situation or whatever. Krishna is there. Krishna is there for me, and I shouldn't lose hope. So
You shouldn't lose faith.
Faith, yes, faith in Krishna.
So there's another example. There's mentioned Bhagavad Gita's 4 types of reasons why people may come to Krishna. Chato Vida Bhajanti Mam. So to fulfill one's material desires, So it may be that when they get the material desires fulfilled, they see, they don't make that step. They haven't heard enough about principles of pure devotion or become attracted to these principles. So for them, Krishna's just there to fulfill their material desires, And so then, as you're mentioning, when a catastrophe happens, because their faith is very weak, then they easily go away from their practice of devotion. So perhaps a lack of faith,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at least so let's get to the Paramahamsa stage. But here, yeah, but ultimately, in the ultimate sense, these devotees have been spoken of here. I mean, because we are practicing to be devotees. Yeah. So devotees, as mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam, yeah, they do not fall under illusion under any circumstances, as unless that illusion is arranged by Kṛṣṇa. Just like Arjuna, he was put into illusion by the arrangement of Kṛṣṇa. Yeah, so he could speak Bhagavad Gita. Yeah. Yeah, it's a very big
We have got
subject.
examples in Srimad Bhagavatam, but these are like pure devotees, or like when we just spoke about Aghāsura. I mean, he was pure devotee in previous life, but then had to take
Yeah.
that form. So we can't go back and just say, yeah, but he did it like this, and they're pure devotees anyway.
Yeah, I mean, there are examples in Bhagavatam of persons who fall down from spiritual life.
Yeah.
Anyone can name one of those examples? Maharaj Bharat.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Very exalted status.
Temporary kind of thing.
Yeah, there because of there Prabhupada brings out in the
Association.
purports that my devotee never perishes. That's good to keep in mind, you know.
Yeah.
My devotee never perishes. So although he took body in the birth of a deer, as we know as the story unfolds, Kṛṣṇa, he had recall of his lives. But still the example is there of someone at exalted a stage of devotion became distracted from his practice and from his sadhana. But still Kṛṣṇa, I've heard that statement a few times lately. We got your back covered. Nobody just mentioned it. It's somebody last got our back covered. It's we got your back covered.
We have to really like, okay, you go through difficulties and you say, oh, but Kṛṣṇa is not helping Kṛṣṇa. But there is a bigger picture at the end.
Yeah.
You see it unfolding in time when the right time is around, you know. So we just have to, it's difficult. Yes, you can say, oh, but why, you know. But it's going to be good at the end. That should be in your mind.
Have that faith.
You know?
Yeah.
You have to have that faith that it is for the best. It might not be best for you, but Kṛṣṇa is always looking after.
Yeah, sometimes it's difficult for us. It may be the circumstances. It's difficult to understand exactly why I'm going through this particular situation. Yeah, but ultimately we should have faith in Kṛṣṇa. That we may not have full comprehension of why we're going through a particular situation, but by it it's Christians. By it we're getting more purified. Anyway.
Yeah, it could be like, you know, in this, like say, my husband Rishikesh, I mean, it wouldn't do anything, but how much he went through his life. But at the end, it's for good. He finished karma in this life. So same thing, we all just finish our karma in one life. You might think, but why is it not happening? Why is this not happening? But it's all for good.
You have to see the bigger picture.
Yeah, I have to
see Krishna's bigger picture.
Maybe next life you could get a better, you know, good birth. Okay, I have.
Yeah. All right. All right, perhaps we'll pause there then for today. Let me just put a bookmark where we left off. We left off here. We still haven't managed to finish this purple. Let's just look.
Can you come and see my friends?
Okay. Nearly finished.
Hey.
All right. So we'll stop sharing. Hare Kṛṣṇa. Hare Kṛṣṇa.
Hare Kṛṣṇa.
Hare Kṛṣṇa. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you for that lovely class. Very
So
nice.
please join us. Oh yeah, I guess we'll be in touch about the third session we're going to have.
Oh yes,
We'll discuss with Vṛndāvana. Okay. Hare
Oh, isn't it lovely?
Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa, Hare
Hare Kṛṣṇa.